Hi everyone, welcome to Waterhouse Forde. Well, if you're like me, you always have lots of projects on the go, you always have lots of parts to clean, and sometimes that can be, certainly can take a lot of time. We've got various methods that we use. I'm going to show you a few of those, but today's project is about building yet another method of cleaning parts, and I'll go into that in a minute. The first one is our ultrasonic cleaner. If you've watched some of our former videos, you will have seen us using that, and also we would have seen how effective it can be on certain parts. The next one is our grinding wheel. Now this is an old lathe head, a wood turning lathe. The head of it, and all I've done is I've put a small wheel, wire wheel in there. Wire wheel is starting to show it's a bit of wear and tear, and that'll need to be replaced soon, and when I do replace it, I'll replace it with something a bit bigger. But that's another very effective means of cleaning old rusty parts. Then of course we have the bead blasting cabinet, and this has been very effective. It works well, and we have managed to clean a lot of parts in there quite successfully. Other than that, we have electrolysis that we sometimes use, vinegar baths to remove rust, and then of course there's the old-fashioned wire brush, scrapers, knives, sanders, etc. But today I'm going to make, I'm going to try to make a new device for cleaning small parts. I've seen this idea on YouTube, seen a couple of people, other people do it, and obviously this is a slight variation. What I have is this old Orbital Sander. It's a Black & Decker. It works well, as in the motor is still good. I've actually got a few of these. I imagine if any of you are anything like me, you probably land up buying these things, or they get given to you, as was the case in this with this one. But we seldom actually use them. The modern orbital sanders, the round ones, work a lot better, like infinitely better. This thing has been sitting in the cupboard for, goodness only knows, I don't know how long, and it never gets used. So what I thought is that makes, that obviously vibrates. So I'm going to make a shaker, or I think they're called tumblers, but more like a shaker really. Now what I've done, I bought this cheap baking tray. Bought it off eBay. It was about £5, and the idea is to mount this to the bottom, to the base of that, and obviously we'll have to make some kind of lid for it as well. And basically what it is, obviously needs some way of helping it to stand as well. And the idea is that you put your small parts in here and place some kind of media. I'm going to try using garnet, which I use in the bead blaster. I've also got some glass beads, so we'll try both of those and see what works best. Basically you just leave it to run, and it vibrates and gently cleans the parts. Typically, this will be small parts, things that are like nuts and bolts, that sort of thing, which are frankly quite painful to clean by hand. And even sandblasting, although it's very effective, it's quite tedious. I'm going to give this a go. I'm going to be making it up a little bit as I go. I haven't really worked out how I'm going to make the stand yet. I imagine it's going to be some sort of wooden contraption that this will sit in. We'll have to think of a different way of switching it on and off, because the switches will now be underneath, which obviously is not a good idea. Just a quick update. This sander is pretty cool in the sense that you don't actually have to take the whole thing apart to get to the bottom, to get to the foot. It actually has these covers over here, and you take the cover off, and these rubber pillars can be pushed out, and basically the foot comes off. The other neat thing about this, I don't know if you can see on here, it actually has two settings, one for vibrating backwards and forwards like that, and one for oscillating, which is there. We're going to set it to oscillating because I think, well, that's what we want. But looking at this, in order to mount it to this baking tin, I'm going to have to go through the center here, where you've got these spring-mounted clips for where you would normally put your sandpaper. So I'm going to take those apart now and just see whether they can just come off, or whether the pillars are actually an integral part of that. If they are, then what we're going to have to do is put a false bottom on this and mount it here instead. So here and here. Okay, so what I could do is I'll take that off obviously, and then mount it, put a countersunk head screw in there, do the same here on this side, and then just put that back. And that way I don't have to mess around with a false bottom. Okay, so I've drilled through that now, but that's fine. In order to mark this now, what we want to do is make sure that this is as close to center as possible, which I think is about there. And then what I've got is this little dowel. It's just a nail through a piece of wood. Use that to mark where this needs to be drilled. Hopefully got two marks there, which is good. See how we go. Well, it certainly shakes a lot. So now we need to somehow fashion a stand for this. In fact, I think to start with, I'm just going to mount it in the vase and do a test. Okay, I've got it mounted in the vase, and we're going to try it there. What I have is this tray of rusty nails, which are going to be our test subjects. Well, I'm expecting them to come out silver, but let's see how we go. It does take a while, apparently. This is not a quick process. What I've got here is some garnet sand. I don't actually know how much to put in, but I'm just making sure they're pretty much covered. I don't want to put too much in case it overflows. I haven't made the lid yet, so here we go. Let's see what happens. Okay, so the first thing is it is more violent than I thought it was going to be, which means we definitely do need a lid. The other thing is it is shaking the whole workbench. So we're going to need some kind of stand, definitely, because also it comes loose. It seems to sort of shake loose in the vase, which is a problem. Okay, so a few changes. Again, just to test, I haven't made a stand yet, but what I've done, I put it in my workmate, just loosely between the jaws, because I'm worried about squeezing the case of the machine too much. It's probably going to deform the mounts for the bearings, so concerned about that. So very loosely held in the workmate with these two cross pieces, one on this side, one on that side, and two clamps, and that seems to be holding it. Now, I've also made a lid. Just some plastic that I had lying around, just cut it to size, and I put a little block of wood in the middle just to cover this up. So you don't want sand going down there. So, and this is slightly lower than this edge here. So what I needed to do is sort of build up the middle. Now, what I have in terms of holding that in place, these three clips, I think they're from, you know, those picture frames where it's just a backing with a piece of plastic in the front. So I think that's what these clips are from, and then just a couple of spaces because it's not quite the right thickness. But anyway, it seems to work. So we'll place one of these there, and one, say, about here. That one seems to be quite tight. I mean, tight is good, right? And one here. Hopefully that'll keep the lid nice and tight, and we should be in business. So let's switch it on. Now, the idea is that this should run for a number of hours. So I'm going to leave it for, let's say, an hour to start with, and then I'll come back and see how we're getting on with those nails. Okay, it's been running for an hour. One thing that happened is the piece of wood that I had on the bottom of the lid, that came unstuck. So I've actually got that I've re-glued it, and I've got that in a clamp at the moment, so I can't really show you. But you can see after an hour, you can see the nails are starting to come clean. Now this garnet sand that I've got is reasonably fine, as you can see as well. And so I think it's going to take a little bit, quite a bit longer to get those entirely clean. But you can see the cleaning action has started, and yeah, I mean it just needs more time, really. So I'm just that's it for this video. I'm going to obviously leave that disc to glue overnight so that it's properly stuck by the time I have another go, and basically let this run again. But yeah, that I think is reasonably successful. Just need to make a stand for it now, and that'll have to be another video, which hopefully we'll get to in the next couple of days. But yeah, thanks for watching, and hope to see you soon.